Us readers sure do have our strong opinions. If it isn't about the genres we're reading, it's the type of books that we're going to buy, how we hold them while we're reading, and then how we display them on our shelves. But there are a few questions I've noticed that we tend to often disagree on, and sometimes our answers to these questions can get a little heated. So in this video, I'm going to go through 5 of them, and you can tell me in the comments exactly what you think too. Starting with, should books ever be annotated or left pristine? This has been a heated discussion in the comments of some of my videos. People either love the idea of annotating, probably because they do it themselves, or they absolutely hate the idea of ruining what would be a perfectly good book. Of course, there are probably people somewhere in the middle too, but for the most part, the comments are pretty polarizing. A symptom of the internet, I suppose. I think this kind of subject is particularly interesting because it's similar to the debate on if you should dog-ear your pages or crack the spine. It's this focus on either keeping your books neat and tidy and preserving them even while you're reading them, or really using them to the point where you wouldn't be able to pass them on at all. So actually, I think this goes a little bit deeper than that, because there's also this part of all this where some people believe that books should be passed on or saved for others to read, and that can't happen if they're damaged in some way. Either that, or once you've read them, you want to display them on your shelves, and if they're a little bit more, let's say, well-loved, they might not look as appealing. But then there's the other side of the debate where people say it's their book, they bought it, and so they should be able to do whatever they want with it. If that means writing in it, highlighting the pages, adding sticky tabs, then that's their prerogative. It's theirs, after all. Now, before I give you my opinion, I would love to know yours, so pause and leave me a comment. If I know that a book is going to have mythology, ancient Greece, or Roman references in it, then I'm going to annotate it. I will do this because it brings me a lot of personal joy to spot the references, note them, and then come back later and look at how clever the author is. It makes me feel good and appreciate the writing just that little bit more. However, my form of annotating is not to actually write on the page. I tried that and it did feel a little too permanent for me. Instead, I use transparent sticky notes and underline using peel-off sticky tape. It takes longer to do, but it's a trade-off I'm personally willing to make. This isn't to say I think my way of annotating is better than anyone else's, it's just my preference. I do it rarely, but when I do, I really enjoy it, and typically I'll do it with books I just know I'm going to keep and reference later. Essentially, these aren't books I'm going to part with anytime soon. Okay, next question. Should trigger warnings or content warnings be standard in books? Now this is a hot topic, and of course I did a video on this one too, and of course the comments were split. There were some people saying that they find content warnings to be really useful for them personally, but they look for them to make sure the book is going to be a good fit. There are others who see the value in having them but don't personally need them. And then there are people who feel that content warnings contain too many spoilers, prevent people from experiencing something because the content warning might push them away, or that people should, for want of a better word, suck it up. This is a difficult topic because we're not just talking about something harmless like writing in a book. We're talking about the individual reader's well-being. If you're someone who doesn't think content warnings should be in books, I can understand that it must be pretty annoying to see them pop up as you're flicking through the first few pages, especially if, by accident, you get what you would classify as a spoiler as a result of the warning. They're usually pretty vague, but sometimes they can be specific. I can also understand that sometimes while reading the unexpected, even if that unexpectedness can be jarring and challenging, can make a book better and result in a better experience in the long run. For example, if something happens to a main character that you didn't at all see coming, but made you stop and put the book down for a second because it shocks you, that's not always a bad thing. When done right, it can be really important and transformative. But I guess what we're talking about here isn't someone like me who doesn't have deep trauma or particularly triggering topics. We're talking about people who do. Those trigger warnings can be really useful to the people who need them most. So like before, I'd love to know what you think before I offer my personal opinion. Okay, here's what I think about trigger warnings in books. If they are to exist, I think there needs to be a standard. This may be wishful thinking, but I would love the publishers to come together and decide what kind of format and general guidelines these content warnings should have. That way, readers know where they are within the book and what to expect. At the moment, each content warning I've come across is completely different. They're in the author's words or put near the dedication, and they're often called different things too, which makes it hard for readers to spot when they want to avoid them, and a little left open to interpretation for the author too. How much do they give away? How specific should they be? This isn't to say I don't think they should be in books at the moment in this particular form. I still appreciate them when I see them, but they need to be streamlined. After all, there's an appetite for it. Take a look at the story graph. Content warnings are a big appeal of the platform. They're useful, but vague enough so that if you need to double check, you can. Okay, what do we have next? This one is spicy. Does BookTok or Bookstagram create false hype around books? I've not done a dedicated video on this topic, so I have no comments to pull from. However, TikTok has something to say.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
So I'm out shopping and I find this ratty little dog.
Some believe that BookTok, which is essentially book videos or TikTok, creates hype around a book because the book is good. If the book wasn't good or appealing to a certain demographic, then it wouldn't be shared so much. People wouldn't be talking about it. So in essence, the hype on BookTok reflects the quality of the book. Then there are people who think that hype or the popularity of a book on TikTok actually means the opposite, that the book is not good. It's an indication that they won't like it, or that they're suspicious of a book's hype and it may be something to stay away from. In both situations, I believe your opinion on whether a hyped book on TikTok is for you or not has less to do with the hype and more to do with the demographic of the people creating the hype. BookTok mostly consists of young women. That's not all it consists of, but it is the majority. For that reason, books young women tend to find enjoyable will likely be hyped more than a genre you, dear viewer, might like. That's just how it is. The power of this demographic is quite astonishing, and publishers have leaned into it. It's no secret that the publishing world, bookstores and online platforms have leaned into the power of this one demographic. You will see it on book covers, whole tables filled with BookTok sensations, and publishers will target book influencers on this platform with advanced readers' copies to try and make the hype happen. Does this mean that the books are actually good though? Well, that does depend on your personal taste, and there is something to be said of the fact that publishers are chasing trends and following hype because there's a lot of money involved. So like always, tell me in the comments what you think of this one. I honestly feel for people who are not into the books, BookTok often hypes. I can see how frustrating it must be to constantly see specific types of books get a lot of media attention when they're not the type of book that you want to read. It can feel in your face and a little annoying. The cynic in me also feels like sometimes the hype can feel a little artificial. After all, if the influencers who start the hype have been given advanced readers' copies, then it's not an organic thing. It's not happening because readers have collectively loved a book and are raving about it. It's more like the publishers are aiming to hype something up to sell more copies. And sometimes this is also done by releasing early special editions that look good for TikTok too. So there is part of it that doesn't feel real. Does that mean that every hyped book is falsely hyped? No. In fact, I do think a lot of hyped books deserve the recognition they get, especially if readers of that demographic enjoy it. There have been a good few hype books that I've enjoyed too. I think the real key here is for us as individuals to think before we leap, to read the blurb, the themes, to make sure it's something we are actually likely to enjoy. I know I've bought a book on hype before and not even read the blurb. I know you've done that too. If we're a bit smarter about it, then we'll avoid some of those books that just don't work for us personally. What's next? Yes, this is a good one. Are special editions worth it, or are they just a marketing gimmick? I think this particular topic is a slightly newer one because it has only been in the past, I guess, 5 or 10 years that special editions have really ramped up in quantity. They've been around for a long time, obviously, but they used to be more rare, expensive, collector's item. Now the first release of debut author books are given sprayed edges as standard. I'll talk about marketing first because there's no doubt about it, special editions are created to sell more books. It's marketing. This is neither a good thing or a bad thing. It's the book world's upsell. Why buy the standard hardback on release when you could pay a couple extra pounds to have a pretty sprayed edge instead? You get the pretty book and the publishers make a little bit of extra money. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. This kind of thing is also used to make certain books more appealing than others. We can all agree that a book's cover can have a huge impact on its sales. I know I've bought my fair share of books based on this alone. So let's say you add a little extra spice with that alternative artwork, end papers, sprayed edges, or even just getting it signed. Well, then that's one appealing looking book. I don't care what the blurb says, take my money. For some, this appeal is great. Filling your shelves with books is a hobby anyway, so if a good chunk of those books have design elements that make them even more visually appealing, then that is fantastic. Not to mention the fact that if you're a collector, then having special editions of books, rather than just a standard hardback or paperback, just makes sense. The fact that these are easier to come by these days just makes the process more accessible and open for all. After all, in the past, special editions used to cost huge amounts of money. Take a look at the Folio Society as an example. Now though, standard special editions only cost a little bit more than the editions you'd be buying anyway. But then there's the other camp that says if a special edition is not hard to come by and is kind of cheap, then is it really special? Or is it just consumerism? Are we being lured into buying something we not actually want to read or might not actually like because it's shiny? They might think that special editions should be expensive, hard to find and collect. They should be saved for, cherished, and passed down through generations. Okay, so like before, let me know what you think. My opinion on special editions is complicated. I absolutely love the idea that the art of creating a special edition is not just reserved for classics or books that have been around for a long time. I also like that they are more accessible now. They're not as expensive, so more people can have the joy of holding and owning something, well, special. I also love the fact that these special editions are giving artists work. The alternative covers, end papers, and more all mean that an artist is getting paid. What I'm not so keen on though is that special editions, even just elements of special editions, are becoming so common that they are not special anymore. They're expected. If I'm pre-ordering a book, I now expect to see sprayed edges for a new release. If it's a book that has some kind of hype around it, even if it's small, I expect to see multiple editions from the get-go. An indie store version, a Waterstones version, a small book box version. That doesn't feel special to me. It doesn't feel like I'm collecting something rare. It doesn't feel like I'm getting something special at all. It just kind of feels normal, and that feels sad to me. Okay, here we go. Is there such a thing as owning too many books? This is a doozy and something that was brought up a lot in my reading as a performance video. Again, we have another polarizing topic. This is complicated because, as with the other questions in this video, there are mainly two sides to this argument. The first camp is that yes, there is such a thing as owning too many books, that owning an excessive number of books is unnecessary and performative. Essentially, owning a huge number of books is overconsumption. Big words. In the other camp are people who believe people should be able to do whatever they want with their own money. That if they want to fill rooms upon rooms in their home with books, then they should be able to do so without judgment from others. After all, it's their choice, and more importantly, they're happy with that choice. Okay, let's do it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and now, what do I think? One of the things I got a lot in the comments of my performative video were people thinking that I thought other people should not have lots of books, or multiple editions of the same books. I do not think that at all. That video was focused on people performing on social media by unboxing huge hauls and collecting huge numbers of books for the purpose of social media. I do believe those two things are different, and it's my fault for not being as clear as I could have been about that. If you have a collection of books at home or shelves filled with books at home that bring you a lot of joy, then I think that's a wonderful thing, no matter the size of that collection. I also think a collection can become a problem if you feel overwhelmed by it, or if it's causing you financial problems, or you can't keep on top of it. If it does none of those things, then have at it. So no, I don't think there's such a thing as too many, unless you, as an individual, think your collection has gotten too large. After all, I felt like that with mine, which is why I started a book buying ban. My collection and my buying habits had gotten out of hand to me, so I knew I wanted to make a change. It's a personal choice, and one I was happy to make. So there we have it, some big debates we can't stop having as readers, nor can we really agree on. And honestly, I think that's probably a good thing. Debate is good for us. Talking to somebody who has a different opinion than us is good for us. if it's done in a constructive and healthy way, of course. Right now, having these debates, I think, is important. So in the comments, I would love for us to all chat, to agree or disagree and see each other's opinions in a healthy way. See you there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for another video.